kidnapped me and started extracting the organs, including the heart.
Okay, we are up and running.
I made a mistake. Just I have extra favour with Admiral Hebert because I spent it I spent a claim twice on her. So yeah.
Yes, indeed.
So, give me a sec.
So, how much do I have to spend to... Right. It's 2 if they're an admiral.
Right, so yeah, if they're in Starfleet, it's 1 for a regular dude, up to captain. Admiral for 2, yes. 3 if they're like an ambassador to to someone from Starfleet.
You're going to spend all of your acclaim to get favour with the President of the Federation.
Pretty much.
I'm spending 3 on a link to the head of the Trill Symbiosis Commission, so that's close enough.
That's the Trill.
Okay.
No one cares about the Trill. They're not part of the they're not part of the Federation Council.
And the remaining 2 for a... do I only store 5?
That's all I gave you, certainly.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I had any left over from previously.
Tends to be that... no problem, Mike. It tends to be that if you have a claim, it disappears between episodes. Because it's not cumulative. It's to do... The amount of claim you get is to do with how you acted during the course of an episode. But because the Battle of Sector 001 was such a big one, I gave you all extra claim because of it. And then what came afterwards with securing the assistance of the planet Footfall, the planet entity Footfall, was also a big deal, so I let you keep the 5 acclaim. Nevertheless, whilst you guys are still having a pore over your acclaim, I will briefly move us out of the ship rumble and the intro music to the intro video. And we'll be back in a couple of moments, folks. Don't go away.
Those aren't medals, they're more reprimands.
Reprimands cut into the shape of medals.
That makes an extraordinary amount of sense now that I think about it. Hi guys, welcome along to the continued misadventures and adventures of the USS Navis and crew. I'm MJ the GM and I will be your GM for the next couple of hours. Meanwhile, discussing what to spend their acclaim and indeed their reprimands on, it seems, are the majority, if not all, of my crew.
The only person that could have submitted a reprimand against me is dead, so, you know.
I wonder why.
I wonder why, because he was an idiot.
Yes. Wasn't the smartest maneuver, was it? I mean, seriously. Just because the Borg come to a complete and scraping halt, you think, oh, now would be a good idea to invade.
Loot.
Well, we know how that turned out. And if you don't, we still have a video of it on our YouTube channel, so, you know.
And for everything else, it's MasterCard.
Moving on from that complete commercialism. Blatant commercialism. There we go. Right then. Let's give a little summary of where we were before. After refueling your antimatter stores at the the local Starbase 1-4, I think it was. Yep, Starbase 1-4. The Navis was asked to go to a neighbouring system to make first contact with a spacefaring species that hadn't been encountered yet, the Khalakh Hegemony. They're apparently a bit standoffish, but Starfleet wanted the Navis to make first contact with them. And yeah, the Khalakh weren't all that happy about seeing newcomers into their space, but initially, at least, Khalakh weaponry and shield technology was not even close to being as good as the Navis's. That all changed, however, when it appears that the Navis's antimatter stores suddenly went, well, gone. With no power for matter-antimatter collision, or from, I should say, matter-antimatter collision, the Navis had to run on emergency power, and the Khalakh took full advantage of it. Thankfully, with the use of a gym badge from Nova and the use of some diplomacy from the captain, the Khalakh were persuaded to back away for a bit to allow the Navis to try and find out what it was that happened to them. Not the least of which, try and get some more antimatter fuel for their engines. So that's where the Navis went, back to Starbase 1-4 at a bit of a crawl. But when they got to where Starbase 1-4 should be, they found a, well, heck of a lot of debris. And what we are doing currently is trying to finish up the rescue operation we were doing with trying to find and rescue survivors of the unfortunate starbase that used to be there and is now no longer. So,
we've done top, we've done middle.
yes, so you got to... There are 3 sections that were intact enough to house survivors. The commander's office, a section that had a force field active, but that was the only thing keeping out the vacuum. Now there is one final section remaining which has no active force fields and is locked down, but has a broken airlock section, meaning that the survivors can't be gotten at yet. But, nevertheless, the Navis crew managed to deploy their runabout and 2 of their shuttles in order to try and rescue as many of those who needed to. As
some blowing up chunks as well.
Now, side note, the commander's office had 3 senior officers who have since been removed, extracted, shall we say, especially since they were rendered unconscious by a certain half Vulcan, half Romulan nurse of the Navises.
It was for their own good.
Well,
In
yes,
the name
indeed.
of the Romulan Empire, I mean the Federation of Planets.
In the name
Oh.
of the Hippocratic Oath for making sure I don't cause them harm by hitting them out of sheer frustration when they keep talking.
I like that, the hypocritical oath rather than the Hippocratic oath. Anyhow. Oh, and as one final point, there is a scratch on the Carpathia.
Damn it.
It's not a scratch, it's a plate missing.
It's a plate
It's worse
missing.
It's worse than
Right.
It's getting
Kebab.
worse now. Webby said some of the things, and now it's worse.
No, at the end of the last flipping session, Matt said that it was one of the deck plates had been pulled off.
Yep.
He did.
I'm afraid so, Alex. It was a section of the back plating came off.
I thought it was the plating on the station that got pulled with it.
No, it was the plating of the Carpathia.
I think it was a bit of both. But, you know, if you want to find out for certain, watch the last episode.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, no, it's now it's ablative armour in quotes.
Well, there's nothing ablative about it anymore.
What's the problem?
So,
I mean, everyone's safe. It's the human cost over the material, surely, Cat.
okay, so, in the final section where there are folks to rescue, the shuttle is being piloted by Captain Andrews, with support from Lieutenant Nova and Lieutenant Ori and Dr. Bertram. The broken airlock section Well, it's going to need some doing. So the first thing we need to do... Have we already had this group do their con check to see how they fly through the debris? I'm not sure we have.
Nope.
So how about we do that first? So, this is going to be a daring and con or a reason and con, I believe. No, oh, sorry, pardon me. Control and con or a daring and con task. Difficulty 1. So, in this instance, it's going to be the captain piloting. So, once permission, the character may reduce the difficulty of a single con task by 1, so it's to a minimum of 1, so it's still 1.
Oh, is it still 1 this one? Okay.
You may as well not bother.
I'll save it for the return journey then.
Absolutely, that's a good idea.
I'll do a barrel roll.
Well, apparently the captain does do a barrel roll with 4 successes, an entirely unnecessary barrel roll, but a barrel roll nonetheless.
Flies past the Carpathia and just glares out the window at Edwards, so we just go past.
Can I just say the showboating with a ship during a crisis that we thought we had control over was kind of how we got in this situation in the first place.
Yeah, but we don't change our tech now.
Yeah.
I
We never
can't
learn.
actually counter that.
with the Federation, we can't learn. We do the same mistake over and over and over again, and eventually we might not change our mind on what we do.
It's not the mistake. We just follow a higher society that doesn't have all of your rules like consequences or economics.
In any case, you arrive safely and easily at the section with the most survivors, I do believe. No, that was the last one.
Middle.
That was the middle one. The next one has got some survivors, but not as many, and certainly... Right, so this is the area sealed by doors and bulkheads, but has a broken airlock. There are 7 life signs inside. Now, as you get close... one of the first things you're going to need to do is to pressurize the section of corridor between the docking hatch and the inhabited section. Plus, it seems that the door to that section is open and unsealed and leads to a breached section of the starbase which is open to space. So, yeah, this is going to be a tricky one.
We got it.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, that's why we bought Jim Badge McGinty.
I'm not going to use it now.
Okay,
Just throw
so
your gym badges at the flipping airlock at the breach until it's sealed.
melt the gym badges down. Are you...
No, that's what he's using with the reprimands. Just use them to plug it like papier-mâché.
Okay.
Nova wears her reprimands like a badge of honor as well as her medals.
They're just on the other side of the jacket.
Yes, they're on the back as you walk away from the admirals. Yes, I see.
They're like a cloak of them.
In any case, some possibilities for what you might be able to do. Let's see, you could try rerouting the electroplasma system, which could allow the door to close, or maybe an emergency force field to be placed over it. Alternatively, someone in an EVA suit could approach the door from the outside and attempt to pull it closed manually. Those are just 2 thoughts offered. Don't necessarily have to be beholden to what I just offered. If you can think of something else you might want to do. Use those big brains.
Yeah, Doctor.
I mean, Nova's always happy to go for a spacewalk.
If you want to go for a spacewalk, then, you know, you've got the tools to do it.
See, there's a sadistic part of me now is gay. Just for that, Lieutenant, you will accompany Lieutenant Nova. Unfortunately, resources are limited, so Nova will get the only EVA suit.
Hold your breath and keep warm.
Just hold your breath and think about the nice, warm, was it like bath in that you...
Hot tub.
Yeah, the hot tub.
Deltans have phones that protect them from the rigors of space.
They do? I mean, they do. Of course they do.
If he has enough charisma, he might be able to persuade reality.
Yeah, it just thinks hard enough. Just believe. You just gotta believe in yourself.
Well, we have actually done that in the past of the Navis, as it turns out. So In any case, yeah. Let me start that again. Even on a shuttlecraft, there are replicators and there are EVA suits, so you have the ability to get EVA suits. So if both Nova and Ori want to go for a spacewalk, or if it's just Nova, it's entirely up to ye.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go break something.
Alrighty. Okay, so obviously you're going to have to actually get into an EVA suit, and you're going to have to pressurize the airlock area of the shuttlecraft in order to get make a walk.
Yep.
Now, the distance from the shuttle to the airlock, I mean, the captain got 4 successes on that piloting roll, so I am assuming that the captain managed to maneuver the shuttle as close as safely possible to this section, especially because you need to unload a lot of potential casualties, or at the very least, the word has actually gone from my brain, as per usual. Actual survivors from that section off, so the closer the shuttle the better, which means that the jump between the shuttle and the broken part of the starbase that you are going to is not that far.
Could deploy some probes with nets.
Probes with nets?
Back.
To what end? What were you thinking? Expand on that idea.
Well, instead of having to spacewalk, we can just take a probe over, since they can be guided precisely.
If
you
need to fix the net, then arrange for to be contact. Radio back, have them modify a probe, then the probe has to get over here through the debris field.
Well, like I said, you are very, very close to the broken section, so the debris shouldn't be a problem.
And
if you
has probes on it.
Yeah, well, it's a good point. It's a shuttle. Doesn't have a torpedo launcher. At most, a shuttle can have phaser banks, but
the runabout that's not far off does.
the runabout was elected to extract the command staff, wasn't it? Oh, no, it wasn't the command staff, it was the 17 survivors.
Yeah.
Yep, but it's still nearer than the ship at the moment.
It was told to return, though.
Up to you. Do you want to issue the order to return, or do you want Ori and Nova to try thing first and then maybe see as the probe thing as a backup, or do you actually want to go with the probe idea?
I have confidence in Nova and Ori working out how to...
That's right, yeah, we...
Okay. I won't require any kind of check for you to do the spacewalk between the shuttle and the broken section. Like I said, it's so close, it's just step off of the shuttle and you just drift over to the broken section, no problem. The issue, of course, is the door. Approach the door from the outside and see if you can manually pull it closed. Now, this is going to be a fitness and engineering test, but in Ori's case, Ori could always help by using reason and engineering to point out the bit that would be the best place to. Ori approaches the door sexily. I'm sure the door doesn't mind at all.
How do you mince in an EVA suit?
Apparently, Ori can do it. If anyone could do it, I believe Ori could. So, go on, sorry.
What's that supposed to roll?
So, well, it's between Nova and Ori, really. Which one wants to lead, which one wants to help? I would suggest that Nova do the fitness and engineering test, because she's got... Yeah. Got the lower end of fitness, as Ori, which is remarkable considering the all-nighters he pulls sometimes, but there we go.
It's the keep going.
Can I make a claim for acrobatic brawl? I've technically been doing 360s in space with no gravity.
You're going to do an RKO on the door?
Hell yeah.
You know what?
RKO out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
You know what? It's so humorous, why not? I'm going to go with why the hell not? Nova is going to propel herself off of the shuttle and dropkick the door closed, and Ori has to guide her on the best place to hit to make sure it shuts for optimum shutting.
Right.
Something.
We jump, we kick.
We take hands. 6.
So I'm going to ask for Ori to do one dice to assist with reason and engineering. I'm not sure any of your focuses really work here, except for just using plain old smarts, dear boy. So go for it.
Alright, hold on 1 second here.
No problem. You do have a full momentum pool if you wish to use it.
No.
No. All right. Okay then.
We're going full Brothers.
We got
We got this. Indeed you do. 3 successes when you only needed the 1. So, yeah, Ori has a good look over the broken door, as does Nova from a distance, and they reckon that if Nova propels herself and hits this exact spot, and then magnetizes her boots right at the last second, it should generate enough force to slam the broken airlock closed properly and create a seal, which it does. Somehow, drop-kicking the door actually worked.
Science.
Science!
I was imagining the was it Final Fantasy meme of superplexing the train, but it's now just like part of the station. Just
all right. So, by securing the door to the section, you have now created the ability to effectively vacuum seal the area between where the survivors are currently sat and the shuttlecraft. The shuttlecraft is still, more than likely, going to have to, well, almost definitely going to have to create a force field in order to create an air pocket that is safe for the survivors to cross, but you're also probably going to want to have the doctor examine the survivors to see if they are able to cross. So let's have the captain try and create a force field. This is going to be a difficulty 0, so all I'm looking for here is whether or not you accidentally get a complication. So this is going to be control and... oh, look at that. I'm going to allow control and security because force fields technically come under security, so...
I can manage an engineering.
Is Little Miss Minmax going to be able to handle an engineering? I'm not quite sure.
Even on engineering, I'd have got 1 success, so nah.
Well, quite, so... Alright, yes. Alright, yes. A force field corridor is safely created between the airlock and the shuttle, which now means that the doctor, as well as whoever else wants to go with the doctor, can get inside the section and have a look at the people who are in there.
In I go.
So, a couple of people in there do have somewhat superficial injuries. Like I said, there are 7 life signs. 6 of them all appear to have bumps and scrapes, which is to be expected considering that they are in a section of a starbase that went explode. But one of the crew appears to have a life-threatening injury. She is pierced by a metal bar that's pierced her from her front and come out of her back.
Oh dear.
She has the trait cannot be safely moved without dying. So, you are able, if Ori and Nova want to try shuttling the other survivors across to the shuttle, they can do with ease. There's no point to do any kind of check. But if this lady is going to be moved...
She can't be transported?
Not safely. The transport might move the bar that's pierced her. So,
how attached to the station is the bar?
It's
Is it possible to move the bar rather than her?
It could be possible to move the bar, yes. It's going to require the doctor, of course, to do a control and medicine task, but it's definitely going to help if somebody could perhaps very carefully cut the bar without it moving too much, if any. Any movement is going to exacerbate whatever internal injuries she's got, because at the moment the bar is protruding out from the wall. So the patient, her name apparently is Dr. Eleanor Thurio. Eleanor is currently impaled on this. As soon as the bar itself is cut, she's going to take all of the weight of the bar. And that's what's probably going to exacerbate her injury. So this is going to take some careful doing. It's also around about this time that the captain, who's still in the cockpit of the shuttle, gets a comm badge alert. Navis to Captain Andrews. This is Lieutenant Turin. Come in.
Receiving, Lieutenant.
I don't mean to alarm, Captain, but Commander Claude has just informed me that long-range sensors have detected 3 incoming warp signatures to the area. Their type and power signature appears to match that of the previous encountered Khalakh ship. It appears that our Khalakh hosts, for lack of a better term, have brought in reinforcements and are potentially here to make sure that we leave their space. That is, of course, only a supposition.
Isn't the starbase out of their territory,
We assumed so. However, star maps do point out that the section of space that this particular system does neighbor Khalakh territory. That, from what we have observed so far of their behavior, might be all the provocation they need. I am, of course, merely supposing.
Well, piss.
It's fine. If they do enter into the territory, open communications, non-hostile stance, yellow alert, but make sure the ship is positioned between them and the starbase.
As you will it, Captain. Although I do point out, we are still without the vast majority of our power. The only thing we have is life support and the ability to launch quantum torpedoes.
Generic, I'm working on it!
Sorry, we've got quantum, so I'm like, I don't care. We've got no shield stuff at us, we've got quantum torpedoes, they're dead.
Is that enough of a not quite hostile stance for you, Captain?
No, that was Webby. That was Webby.
Well, Webby's view is, Make sure constant torpedoes are ready, and if you have time, life support.
Yeah, get this last spot fired up in a bit. Yeah.
From engineering, we're sitting doodling out an Orion drive based off the quantum torpedoes. It might work.
Shove the quantum torpedoes into the solid fuel waste unit.
Well, it's more the one of put a big metal plate on the back of the ship and explode quantum torpedoes behind us to make us move forwards.
What could go wrong?
It is plan B.
it might repel the incoming ships because they see that's what they're doing to their own ship. We are not dealing with that level of crazy.
In the meantime, yes, it appears you have time yet. The Khalakh ships are not anywhere near as fast as yours, but they have brought friends, it seems. So, time appears to be of the essence somewhat here. So, we will first be wanting some kind of engineering check to remove the bar safely and carefully. So, the Doc Bertram could probably do with a bit of help here. Now, the interesting thing is that Ori straddles the line, and that's not the only thing he straddles, let me quickly point out, but Ori kind of straddles the line here between being as equally good at medicine as he is engineering. So Ori has the flexibility to help with either. So
He's flexibility.
he does like flexibility. He's also himself very flexible. But, so, I leave it up to you, Mike, to determine whether you would have Ori aid Nova with the engineering side of safely taking that bar off, or if you want to aid with Bertram's medicine check to make sure this lady can be safely removed from the bar and then stabilized quickly before she can be moved to the shuttle.
Well, he has combat medic. Does that help at all? Let's see. What's that do?
When attempting
no,
a medicine task, you may pick one trait which increases the difficulty of the task and ignore it.
Well, but that's combat. This isn't really combat, so.
Nevertheless, it doesn't necessarily. It just says combat medic is the name of the trait. It says during combat. Yeah, I do beg your pardon. It does say during.
Right, fire at the wall. The wall's hostile.
Well, I just said the Khalakh are incoming.
Well, if we take a holistic view, we haven't had a Starfleet member of Starfleet assault a bunch of people by knocking them out before dragging them out.
That was less combat, more subterfuge. I think you'll find.
I think by subterfuge and stuff like that has its place in combat.
I'm not saying it doesn't, but nevertheless. That combat was over and done pretty quickly, is what I was getting at, but never mind. I believe the most that happened there, as far as the other side were concerned, was the last remaining guy went, "What are you doing?" and then got tranked. But anyway. Yeah. So I don't know. It's entirely up to you, Mike, where you think, or I would go with assisting.
Well, I mean, he's got his tricorder, right? He could,
Absolutely.
That could be a focus. Doesn't Nova outrank him?
Nope. Technically, they're both the same rank.
He's really smart. What do you think I should do, Nova, Lieutenant Nova?
Probably more hands on keeping her alive. I'm just thinking too many hands trying to move the bar is
right.
It's too much movement.
Right. Perfect.
That makes sense to me.
Doctor, would you like it?
Would you like a hand? Okay.
I can give you my bionic arm if you want. It's not going to help that much.
Just disconnect it and hand it to Ori. Here you go. Okay, right, so this is going to be now. I know Nova tends to go by seat of pants, but this is definitely a control and engineering job here for Nova, because this is cutting that bar off of the wall in such a way that it doesn't vibrate and doesn't let the patient take the full weight of it. So it's definitely a control issue. As far as, well, no, there's not really much in regards to foci that I can see, but you do have a full momentum pool. So I'm going to make this difficulty... Ooh, Starcross! There we are, doubles the department rating. Nice, nice, nice. So you get to check expanded focus for that. I'm going to make the difficulty of this... I'm going to make this 2 because this is a very fine job, and I'm also going to spend a threat to up the complication range for this, because if you do slip and get this wrong, this could have very serious consequences for the patient. So, obviously, Nova's job has to come first before the medical team jumps in, so it's all down to Nova. And like I said, you've got a full momentum pool you can use to buy extra dice with if you think you need it. Definitely control and engineering for Nova.
Latent telekinesis she could use.
Does Nova have telekinesis and no one told me?
I mean, she could.
It's not our fault you didn't check the sort of like the secret page.
Check the fine print.
I'm pretty sure Nova doesn't have telekinesis yet.
Nova took inspiration from her favourite childhood book, The Little Scion That Thought He Could.
Oh dear. Okay, so it's going to be a control and engineering difficulty 2 check. You've doubled your focus range by... You could potentially double your focus range using any of your gym badges, and the complication range is also doubled, so by all means, do your thing. Alrighty. Let's do this thing. Oh, those are good rolls. Look at that. With pinpoint precision and accuracy, Nova cuts this bar off of the wall, and just as it's about to completely come off, she catches it, and everybody helps lower it down with such care and ease that the patient definitely does not get hurt. That momentum goes straight back into the pool, because that was phenomenal. Precision work. Bertram is almost tempted to say, wow, you should have been a surgeon, but then the implications of Nova becoming a surgeon hit him, and he thinks otherwise of stating that.
Dr. Nova, surgeon. Living by the seat of your pants, 24/7.
He goes, Doctor, there's a strange alien implant in this thing that's pulsing through the brain. Just puts hands in and rips it out.
Well, you know, considering that Nova was responsible for the horror and mind-bending horror that was the port nacelle, the mind boggles at what she'd do in the medical field, but...
The starboard femur bone.
Nevertheless...
Her value on surgery, how does this work? It's going through every bit.
We now need control and medicine from both Ori and Bertram. Bertram obviously leading. Bertram has got surgery, which this almost definitely is.
The knee bones connected to the...
Ori doesn't really have anything to do with emergency medicine. Genetics does not count because you're not tinkering with somebody's genetics to make them able...
We're just going to gene scrubber while we're there. Just get rid of all the... Oh yeah, I see your XY chromosomes a bit off.
All right.
We'll just clean that for you.
I'm just going to seal this internal bleeding. Can you mutate their genomes so they gain Wolverine-level regen for the next 10 minutes?
The answer is... The answer is not without the correct equipment. You can't know. So you're just going to have to use Ori's control and medicine without any focus. But you do have a full momentum pool.
I can't use the tricorder scan to make sure...
Oh, because you're busy trying to actually staunch bleeding rather than just say, Doc, she's bleeding. Doc, she's bleeding from there. And she's bleeding from there as well, actually.
How difficult does this look like it's going to be to Bertram's experienced eyes?
It's not the worst you've seen. Yeah. If you can at least just stop the bleeding, then she will be stable enough to move.
It's more, I've got a Starfleet Surgeon's decoration, but if it if it's not too difficult, I don't know if it'll be worth sort of like using.
I would say hold on to that.
Okie dokie.
Because Ori has already given you 1 success through assisting, which is great. So you're already halfway there, and 2 successes means that between the two of you, you staunch the bleeding and stabilize the patient within seconds of that bar being taken out. Well done, well done. She's not up to full health by any stretch of the imagination, but she can now be safely moved onto the shuttle so that she can be extracted along with the rest to the safety of the ship. And so, the last thing we want from the third group here now is the return journey, which is going to be daring, or control, and con. Can I also get Alex to be the shuttle, please, to give us engines and con as an assist? Double 16s, good, good. Alex, are you able to roll for the shuttle, please? Yep, excellente. 2 16s and a 6. So, it's all down to Andrews' expert piloting, but the survivors are safely extracted off to the Navis. Nice. Okay, excellent. I'm just going to move us back to the bridge temporarily. So, the rescue teams return. Obviously, Dr. Bertram can take all the patients, especially the primary patient, the one who was impaled, off to sickbay. What Bertram makes of the fact that 3 of the senior officers who appear to be uninjured have been brought in sedated is entirely up to him.
Good. Latif, make a note in your diary for next week. You're getting a remedial reminder course in ethics.
Very well, Doctor. May I at least proceed with my general ability to heal the sick and wounded?
Yes, yes, you may. That was actually more of a joke on my part. Bertram's not actually.
Yeah, I guessed as much.
At least not unless like people actually. He'll probably later on ask Latif for why they were all tranquilized, and then he'll make a judgment call of what, if anything, he needs to do.
Right, so I think who was on that group? It was Lenny, Newteeth, and Chief of Engineering Bravo. And I think it was the Chief himself who decided that a panic-stricken commanding officer was probably not a good person to keep conscious, since he appeared quite distracted. And plus there was the suspicion of shenanigans, if I recall. Yeah, what do I know? Anyway, let us see. So, now that you've got all the survivors back, there's still the mystery over what the hell happened here at the station, and also why your own engines are currently without power. Now, the Navis is currently, or the Navis crew, I should say, are currently under a trait, or a number of traits, actually. Your Mara system is offline, so your antimatter reaction assembly is currently disabled, which means you also have the trait warp power offline, and you also have the trait don't have the tools to diagnose the problem. The place where you would find the tools to diagnose the problem would more than likely be in the engineering section of the starbase. And even though it is a bit of a ruin, the engineering section of the starbase is there, so you could technically have another away team go over and try and examine the engineering section of the starbase.
Do it.
So, which parts of the crew did we not send on mission so we could take them off on this away team at the exact same moment everyone else has been away?
Oh, so Vipers wanted to sneakily get them off. Well, as it happens, the Navis has a small craft readiness rating of 5, which means you can have 5 small craft ready and ready to be deployed at any one time. You've used 4 of them, so technically there was one standard shuttle left that Vibers could have taken, along with whoever's left around that you would have wanted to take you to the engineering section, if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, go on. Let's keep the timeline confusing enough.
All right. So if I just have a look, Bravo Chief of Security wasn't along for the ride on any of these, was he? No. So if we keep separating this lot for the moment, just by taking them off to one side, everybody else left on the bridge, including Vibers all the way down here,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
are available to do a mission off to the engineering section of the ruined starbase. So, let me see. As far as the Navis is concerned, you have how many? Ooh. Have you used up all your crew support? Let me see. Stevens, Nurse Bravo, yep. Nurse Nateeth, Lenny, Chief Engineer Bravo. That's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got 6 in total. Who was the 6th? Who else did we use? Who was the 6th?
Okay, it sounds like we're doing a separate mission when they come back. Something about taking away every single person above the rank of lieutenant off the ship at the same time. Probably not a good idea.
It was so you could get as much contraband in as you could while no one's around to stop you.
I would, but I haven't got any contraband to come in. The station I'd get it from has exploded. When you're paying attention.
Interesting side note to the whole episode that I hadn't considered there. Let me actually note that down. Anyhow.
Of course, I wouldn't be getting supplies from here.
That's why we were picked to come out here. Navis was like using his connection so he could do a supply run.
Intriguing. Nevertheless. Alright, so Vibers, yes, with a shortage of people power, as it were, because I swear I can't remember who you at least have one other supporting character you could activate. Because everyone else so far has not done anything in any active role, so...
Yeah, but a mission with Vibers and Latude, or Vibers and Unit Hello off to there, seems like it's gonna go horribly wrong. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad idea.
But at least take somebody with you.
Vibers and Latude. One is a genius, the other's insane.
I'd say the other is the tune, but fair enough.
You never know with Latude. You don't know if it's a genius or what. You just know he's lazy.
Oh, but Latude isn't a genius. He's just a genius, lazy misanthrope.
According to your former captain, Captain Ducasse, there is something else to Latude, but she's never gone on the record as to stating what her connection with Latude was and why he is the man of mystery he is, but there we go.
Who wants to play Latude then?
Hey, if you want to bring in Latude as the final supporting character that you are allocated this time, then by all means do.
So, Vibers and Latude off on an adventure.
Whirlwind adventure.
Right. As a final word, as funny as it is that all you're taking, or is somebody else going with you to inspect the engineering section?
Support and all the PCs have gone.
Well, they're on their way back. It's up to you how you want to play this.
Okay, let's grab us 2 and we will pinch somebody off a shuttle on the way. So we need...
Well, which shuttle gets back first? Probably the command shuttle. So...
yeah, they had the fewest people. And certainly the crew on the runabout had more survivors to shepherd off. And the crew of the other one, Andrews' one, of course, had the medical emergency to see to as well. So, yeah, in all likelihood, we're looking at Probably Lenny's group are the first to get back. So we're talking...
Did we have any... Who else did we have in Lenny's group?
So that was Lieutenant Lenny, Nurse Nuteeth, and Chief Engineer Bravo.
Oh god, it makes it even worse. Let's take Bravo as well.
We need to let Bravo actually get back to his engine rooms. But let's... And I'm not going to take Nuteeth because that causes a time issue with the scene just gone.
And even if you do wait, Nuteeth is probably going to be needed in sickbay, unless you want to divert her off, so...
I'm pinching their pilot seems a bit mean. Okay.
No, seriously, you can do this however you want. The only real time issue here is how long it takes the Khalakh to get to you.
So the runabout crew was a bit bigger.
Yes, indeed. Yep. The runabout crew was... if I can find it. Actually, no, the runabout crew were Edwards and Stevens and Nurse Bravo.
Okay, but Stevens can pilot, can't it?
And Stevens pilot. She's got a rating of 2 on con, so she's not bad.
Who wants to be pinched to go on a mission and who doesn't?
Yeah, essentially, who wants to go on the mission?
That group, Edwards would be the one to take for it.
Yep, Edwards has got a good con rating.
Grabbing Edwards, and I think at that point we've not really got time to disrupt things by pinching another person, so that's probably it for this one.
Anybody else want to go, or are you dispatching these 3 guys as soon as possible?
I'd say timing's of the essence, so...
Okay. Ultimately, all they're really there to go and do is to fetch the right equipment so that you can diagnose the problem and therefore eliminate that trait, so you can have a good old look at what's actually going on, so, okay. Rather than jumping back onto that map again just so that we get that look at big old space, we'll just do what we did before. But there is going to be a bit of a difference. So, the 4th trip in total, obviously not Edwards' 4th trip, this will be Edwards' 2nd trip. The difficulty for this will be a good deal more because the debris field going towards the engineering section of the starbase is especially dense. So this is going to be quite the tough check. Now,
that's why I picked a pilot.
You can also you can have a co-pilot, absolutely. I'm also, for the sake of convenience, going to put the shuttle by there so somebody can also be the shuttle. So,
can I make a recommendation that you take some pattern buffers with you in case we need to make a quick getaway?
That's probably not a bad idea.
And then we'll just dump the shuttle.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, groovy. We'll go with that.
Also got a nice big emergency beacon as well.
Right. Any other equipment you want to take as a just in case?
Hot tub.
Don't think we have it
in the shuttle.
Yeah, we don't have an emergency hot tub yet.
You put it on.
Yet.
It's part of the runabout. Did you look underneath the bed in the back?
Alright then, so let's see. Does Vipers have a con rating? No, he's got 2. He's not bad, he can assist. What about Lutude? Lutude's got 2 as well. Okay, so Edwards is the primary pilot, obviously gets some assistance from the shuttle itself. So let's have, obviously, Alex does... If Vipers wants to assist with the shuttle piloting, he can do with a control and con. You've got no foci, really, to help with, but that's not bad at all. Can I have... let me see... Sean, could you be the shuttlecraft, please?
Alrighty.
Now, You need 4 successes to get through this debris field. You've had 3 so far, so you can buy extra for the shuttle. The shuttle needs to give me engines and con. Now, the shuttle isn't awesome,
No.
so buying extra dice with momentum is probably not the worst thing. But you can buy a maximum of 1 because we're already near the 5 dice limit.
Really? No, I suppose that's the option we need to do this.
Oh, whoa, look at that! Sean steps in to save the day. Excellent. So some fantastic piloting, as well as shunting some power through the shuttle's navigational systems and extra power to the manoeuvring thrusters means that, yes, blimey, do you overcome that. Nicely done. So yes, there are some particularly dangerous... Can't scratch me. There are some particularly dangerously large pieces of debris as you start getting closer and closer to the engineering core. But, nevertheless, you do successfully manage to make it to the make it to the section that you need to dock. Now, most of it is in ruins. But all you need to do is to find an anti-proton analysis matrix, which is usually found in the realms of a warp-powered core. So that's what you need to look for. So, Lechude, who isn't the most flattered at being asked to pipe along for this mission, nevertheless, at least, endures the mission stoically. So,
Well, pointing out that he was the 3rd or 4th best engineer on the ship, which is why I needed to grab him, probably didn't go down too well.
Rude.
yeah, I was in the middle of my of my tuna baguette. And you come and fetch me to find an anti-proton analysis matrix. Don't I feel special?
Three people I know who know what one looks like.
Oh, all right then. Let's get this over with. Now, this place, as you can see, is a mess. The destruction pattern, however, does look somewhat strange. So, the question I have to ask is, whilst you're here looking for an anti-proton analysis matrix, do you want to try and see if you can piece together what might have happened here?
Oh, look, some interesting logs.
So if you want to try and investigate, anybody with anything to do with warp fields, that kind of thing, can give me an insight and engineering task with a difficulty of 2. Oh, this place is entirely open to vacuums, so it's assumed that you've got EVA suits on. Just so. Ooh.
I was about to say, would metallurgy be useful in trying to analyse what kind of forces were at play in order to do this kind of destruction to the interior?
Hold on, I've got...
Because a typical explosion would reveal something a bit more tangible, be able to see, and be able to put together like what forces would make the metal bend in this kind of way.
Mike, you were saying?
It doesn't look typical. Sorry.
I was saying Ori has warp field dynamics.
Yes, but you're all the way on the ship, unfortunately.
Am I?
Yes, I'm afraid you are.
You're so pedantic.
Yes, I am.
Alright,
that's
just
my
appears
job.
on the view screen. It's like, hi guys.
Turns out I'm queuing for everyone.
I was here all along.
That's right.
It was alright all along.
Yep.
Actually, it was Ori's evil twin, Hans Ori.
I'm gonna
go on.
Right back.
No, I say Horai.
All
I
right.
was trying to think of what Ori spelled backwards is.
Irio.
Yarrow.
There we are.
Irie.
In any case, that's a complication I can see right there. So,
Unless you got something to throw at it.
I could, but do
Let
we really
me
want me
think.
to use a Legion of Honor at this point?
Yeah, we don't
maybe.
accept failures.
Okay.
so then,
Captain's
let
Fault.
me see. Oh, okay. Dang it, I was thinking of something. Never mind. Alright. Vibers trips over something. And Edwards, if you really want to use mineralogy, then yes, you make a good case for it, so by all means go ahead.
Is this an assist or?
This is an assist, yes, because Davis has already rolled 2 dice.
So was it science we're after? Reason science?
Insight and engineering.
Insight engine.
Being able to come to a conclusion as a result of the visual clues you have in your vicinity. Very good. Very, very good, in fact. Okay, so... Yes, Vibers trips over a rogue piece of metal that is floating about in the vacuum. And it's that piece of metal that Edwards finds most fascinating, not the least of which because it tripped up Vibers, but because it seems to be a piece of the station's own matter-antimatter reaction assembly. It looks like the Mara actually detonated. So it's not just that their matter-antimatter reaction assembly went wrong in some fashion. It seems like the cause of the actual the point of the explosion that laid waste to this entire place was in fact their matter-antimatter reaction assembly. That was the focal point of the detonation. But you also determine that the Mara failed from the inside. The containment breach resulted in a matter-antimatter detonation which destroyed the station.
It's obviously Ferengi. Must be.
Interesting leap of logic.
How they replaced the supplies that we obviously make ourselves with second quality product, I don't know, but it's obviously Ferengi.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, yes, very worrying. But 3 successes overall. The only extra bit of... Well, there's no matter or antimatter stores left because the whole thing just detonated, so whether or not they suffered any kind of catastrophe similar to yours is difficult to tell here, but nevertheless, Lechude does eventually come across a anti-proton analysis matrix. So you are now able to return to the ship if you wish. Unless there's anything else particularly that you want to do while you're here.
Can we get anything else out the station's logs?
The station is completely without power. Its backup in this section might be difficult because this was the focal point of the explosion. The systems here in engineering are pretty much trashed. But if I recall, you did make sure that the commanders from the command section downloaded all of their logs.
Mm-hmm.
So you can always look at the logs that they got when you get back to the ship.
I was just checking there wasn't anything we could get from here that they couldn't have got from there.
Now, this place was ground zero for the detonation, so everything that could be destroyed was destroyed. The only reason that the anti-proton analysis matrix wasn't is because it was in one of the secure lockers. That secure locker itself is somewhat heavily dented, but at least it's one of those lockers that's so far off to one side because it's the equipment locker that you don't always need.
Okay, just checking. Is there any... none of the containment vessels in here are still contained, are they?
Everything that was needed to power the matter-antimatter reaction assembly seems to have all gone up.
Okay, so it's no longer a bomb waiting to happen.
No, there's that.
Good. Let's get out of here.
Okay. Back to the sheep. Actually, the place we should probably go is engineering.
Yeah.
So, are there any other folks that you would want to bring down here into engineering? Or are all of these guys the folks that you want to be there?
We
Is
probably
Hello
want
activatable?
somebody... Like one.
What was that, Sean?
I was just asking if Hello was available.
If you want Hello to be down here, Hello can be down here.
Yeah, maybe a backup drone. He's still on the bridge as well.
Already. Ooh, there's more than one drone. Haha. Remote units have been multiplying. Okay. Any other characters that you want to bring in here to maybe bring their insights into the game, or are you happy with the folks assembled? I mean, granted, you've got pretty much all the engineers here, so... Alrighty. So, now that you have the anti-proton analysis matrix, you can have a go at trying to find out what's going on. So, it'll need to be modified to work with your ship's systems, because a ship's warp engines, especially a specialist ship like yours, is entirely different to a starbase. So you're going to have to increase the sensitivity, which is going to be a reason and engineering task with a difficulty of 1. For whoever wants to take it. I point out that you've already activated Stevens and Chief Engineer Bravo, so they are available to be used if you wish to. Unless you want either Edwards or Vipers to do so.
Alex, you good taking Edwards and someone else for help? You seem to be on a roll for doing good rolls today.
Can do.
Wait.
Alright, reason and engineering to just increase the sensitivity of the anti-proton analysis matrix. What we're basically looking for is... yeah, there we go. Exactly what was needed. Excelente. Okay, now you can start to scan your ship's own matter-antimatter reaction assembly more properly, and can work out what went wrong. So, this is going to be a reason and engineering task again with difficulty 2 now, and this can be done for anybody with focuses, well, doesn't necessarily have to be done, but anybody with a focus in warp-related engineering or theories, that kind of thing, can definitely help in this matter.
Any volunteers for this one?
So we've already had Edwards sharpen up the analysis matrix. If somebody else wants to give it a go by scanning...
Stevens and Ori?
Is Ori back?
Ori's back, yeah, you're back on the ship, we're in engineering now.
He'll do it.
Alright, if it's going to be Stevens and Ori, then who's leading? Stevens or Ori? Stevens has got the higher engineering rating.
That.
But Ori is the senior officer.
Oh no, we'll go with the most skilled person.
Okay. Webby Stevens is Andrews' sister, so you're NPC, as it were, or whatever. So you're supporting character, so why don't you be Stevens? So from both Ori and Stevens, I would like reason and engineering rolls, please. 1 dice for Ori, 2 for Stevens, unless, of course, you're buying extra dice with momentum.
Can I use Warfield Dynamics as a focus?
Absolutely. Stevens can definitely use the same. Oh, very good. I thought it was going to be an 18, but no, we're on with a 5 and a 14 and a 1. So, between the two of them, they get exactly what's needed. So, Ori and Stevens using the anti-proton analysis matrix to scan your Mara reveals the presence of these strange floating clouds within your ship's antimatter containment pods.
Oh no.
These little clouds, well, you have to do a double take. Because at first it's like, oh, there's some kind of contaminant in the antimatter. But then the closer you look at these so-called contaminants, the more you realize that they're exhibiting self-organizing properties.
There's a sentient contaminant in my antimatter. How do I purge it?
We already had some sort of organism that sort of monkeyed with the engines before. That rings a bell.
I believe there is a case of, I think, a Romulan ship was messed around with when some sort of organism mistook their equivalent of a warp core as basically a nest.
I remember there was a Orion who was flirting with a starship cat or a Federation. Is it captain?
You mean
Very
the
good.
things living in the? Ooh, yeah, it has been a while since that one, hasn't it?
Ejecting
that was
antimatter
fusion
chambers,
reactors.
Captain. Well. Yes. What episode was that? Let's have a look. Let's throw ourselves back to... Let's see. It wasn't that one. 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 Nope. Nope. No. No. Ah, that was episode 41.
I don't quite remember how we got them out in the end on that.
We
one.
lured them away. We dimmed our own power or something like that. And
Yeah, they were attracted to fusion.
That was it. And we basically got to go out for a new snack.
Yes.
Oh, there's a ship now coming. What a coincidence!
Now, Dr. Bertram,
Hello?
this is where we can use your xenobiology here.
Xenobiology.
It's
So-
not moss, but it might be just as good.
To make a reason and medicine check with a difficulty of 1.
Okay.
Ooh, Cochrane Medal of Excellence. When you use a point of determination involving that focus, you may select 2 benefits from determination. Blimey!
Well, how often do I get to use this for xenobiology?
Right then, going all in.
Yeah. Okay,
So, the doctor comes in and has a look at the readings that Stevens and Ori are taking, looking at the feed live as everybody else is, and is going to make a jump of educated logic. 4 successes, oh my god.
Does that increase to 6 because of the
Yes,
Medal of
indeed.
Excellence?
Jeez, willikers. Alright, blimey. Now. The self-organizing properties definitely mark this as a life form. Now, these are beings of antimatter, which means if they make contact with matter of any sort, they are probably going to be annihilated.
Yeah, that's not good. Because A, they'll probably annihilate whatever matter they contact with, and B, for we know, we could be doing a mass murder on a living species, potentially, for all we know, an intelligent species.
Well, let's see. You've got so many successes with that. You can glean a bit more than just that. So, yes, self-organizing entities made of antimatter rather than normal matter. Standard Starfleet scans would not have detected the creatures. It's only because the modification of the anti-proton analysis matrix that allowed you to detect them now. What you also notice from looking at the live feed is that there are several groups of individuals within the antimatter storage pods, some of which are smaller than others. Their biology appears to be complicated enough that the life form could support some kind of intelligence or sentience.
Well, this complicates things. I'm gonna let. I'm assuming at this point I'm in engineering, examining them.
Thank you, Mike.
I'm gonna say, yeah, Evangelist is there as well. I'm going to immediately alert him and Vibers to this fact that this could potentially be intelligent life, and warn them about the potential for accidentally annihilating them if we're not careful with what they're exposed to.
Alright,
Annihilating them, I'm not worried about. Them accidentally annihilating us and half the solar system, that comes to mind.
Mike, what were you going to say?
Or I get any sort of read on them emotionally.
That's the thing. You would imagine that life forms would have triggered the empathic senses of both Ori and Nova, and the telepathic senses of the Bravo quintuplets. But it's entirely possible that since they are beings of antimatter rather than matter, like you, their brainwaves are different, so you have trouble sensing them. That's not to say that creating some kind of communication would be impossible, but like the ship's sensors, it might explain why you haven't been able to sense them yet. Because their physiology is entirely different from yours. It presents a PowerPoint for the creature. You're of course that the creatures actually sense the outside, their outside world in the same fashion that you do. Now, as to Davis's point about them coming into contact, at the moment you've found these creatures to be inside the antimatter storage pods, and antimatter storage pods are essentially electromagnetic bottles, as it were.
If we're being pedantic, there is no difference between antimatter and matter, apart from on a subatomic level in which way they spin. So, that's me being pedantic.
Hey, there is a difference. One goes on our side of the containment field,
Yeah.
the other goes on the other side, and we don't want to mix them.
That's fine. It's worth it.
Slightly important.
The only reaction that is 100% successful at converting matter to energy, so there's nothing that bad about it.
But yeah, Webby's point is Webby's paint is a valid one, but also Webby's point is a valid one.
I'll stay quiet about what my dissertation project was.
Yes, I
Well, now you don't need to, do you?
It's like angry astrophysicist noises.
Nevertheless, it's only because they're beings of antimatter rather than matter, like I said, is why you didn't initially sense them. But it's not to say that you couldn't try and sense them. The only difference between you and them is antimatter versus matter. And that they're currently little cloud-like creatures stuffed in an electromagnetic bottle, so, you know, perspective and all that. Lieutenant Turin does calm down to engineering, saying that you've got about less than an hour estimated travel time before the Khalakh ships arrive.
Yeah, let's try and start comms, shall we? It'd be nice to them.
Now, is that comms to the creatures or comms to the Khalakh?
I thought we were only radio. I know they're not in range, are they?
Not yet. So, what would you like to do?
If someone who knows a lot more about antimatter and interaction of different forms of matter and energy can help me, we can maybe look at its behavior and see if we can identify anything that could help us, such as, for example, if we can identify individual qualities of the antimatter components that is causing these creatures to group up around them, like certain parts of it are more nutritious than others if they're feeding on it, we might be able to find a way to kind of coax the creatures, say, into one section of containment, cleaning the rest out so that we could potentially get our systems working again, at least as a short-term solution.
Only you had a science officer.
Well.
So we've got a doctor who likes xenobiology and a science officer who likes quantum mechanics and warp theory. Cool. I'm going to the pub.
So essentially, yeah, you need help figuring out how these creatures work and what you can do with them. So you need to work out their biological processes, find out what they feed on, and whether or not they contaminate the antimatter around them in some fashion. So, yeah.
Bertram and like an accident and become one creature, and then we'll have all our abilities combined.
Okay.
This is weird, considering I've been writing Transformers stuff the start of this week, and so now I'm picturing Bertram and Ori as some kind of combiner team. Nevertheless, if you want to give it a good old go, then a reason and science or a reason and engineering task could allow you to find out more about their biological processes if you wanted to, or do you want to start with first contact?
Oh, let's find out more about them. Would you agree, Bertram?
Yeah. Researchers Foundation, and we're unlikely to be able to contact them in any case unless we actually can work out how they interact and therefore how they perceive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alright then, so like I said, reason and science or reason and engineering. Looks like Bertram is assisting Ori in this take then. Anybody else jumping on this train?
Come on, Nova.
Is Sean put be right back? Doesn't look like Sean might be back, so
I got close.
looks like it's just you two then for the time being. Unless somebody else does want to jump in.
You need an engineer to back you up, or you good?
You could actually gain some experience from the engineering standpoint if you wish. It'll cost you a momentum to do so, but yeah, you've got a full momentum pool. I don't see why not.
What's this one?
Your warp field dynamics will help.
Insight and engineering? Or reason?
Insight and engineering, yeah. Did I say insight? No, reason. Reason and engineering, my pardon.
That's a nicer number.
1 dice from the Vibers. Pretty please. Yeah, doing well, doing well. Alright then, Mike, it's down to Ori. Reason and science. This is a weird one.
You wanted to make another roll?
Yes, please. 2 dice this time. You're the lead.
I rolled.
Did you roll already? Yes, you did. Haha.
Bertram.
I missed it. Pardon me. There it is there. So that's 4 successes overall. Nice. Okay, let's see. All right then. So... let's see. Where's the thing about them feeding? All right. Best guess is that since the refueling, the antimatter refueling station that was set up, that was attached to the starbase, was pulling antimatter from the nearby nebula, it stands to reason that these cloud-like entities more than likely lived in the nebula. And since they are creatures of antimatter, they more than likely fed on the antimatter in its energetic state, more than likely, inside of the cloud. If too many of these cloud-like entities are contained for too long, their biological processes will start to contaminate the antimatter around them. In the short term, this will stop your matter-antimatter reaction assembly from working. If left for too long, it will become impossible to control and regulate the antimatter stream annihilation, which could result in a core explosion.
I mean, how did you get in there?
Well, that is a very good question.
Because they would have had to pass through, a positive recharged environment.
One would imagine that the process of extracting antimatter from the nebula would have been done by the refueling station and its processes, which means that the refueling station itself.
So they sold us bad gas. Or
You could, in theory, use some sort of optical tweezer.
Go on.
Okay, so an optical tweezer is that it's effectively a laser beam that excites the particles, but it holds it within a state.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could use a magnetic field to gently push the material so that it's going in one direction along the tweezer. So as it becomes excited, it stays in line and doesn't actually interact with matter.
So it's going to be a very fine-tuned, exacting process, but if it can be pulled off, you can extract. So if I get where you're going, try and extract the individuals themselves one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
That could take a while.
We have a system set up for refueling these pods from an
Yes, you do.
external
Yep, absolutely.
source. Can we rig that up to the deflector dish?
Rig everything to the deflector. It's fine.
Because what I'm thinking is doing the one about us doing the filtering out is a long and drawn out process. And we don't want them hanging around for too long. Us going, look, here's a path home, and it's got shiny food along it. Please follow that out, please. Might work quicker.
We'd have to make sure that if we emanate them out and push them out that way, that they don't contact matter from our universe till they're back in their home environment.
Yeah, so
That hence a deflector beam as a protective.
Push everything into
corridor.
create a perfect vacuum. Yeah, could work.
yeah, I mean, if even a single particle hit the ship,
We use these deflectors to make sure that we're not hit by single particles hitting the ship while we're at warp and ripping a hole through the hull.
Mm-hmm.
correct?
It's
So
kind
using
of what it's
gravitons.
for. It's just running backwards.
Matt, when we were examining, could we find any traces of any sort of energy, resonance, disturbance, matter, or anything else that was actually passing between the particles that
Yes.
might be how they communicate?
As it turns out, yes. Ba-bum. Where is it? There appear to be, as you observe them, small pressure waves that individuals emit in a not too different fashion from the way that you guys communicate.
Can we take the frequency of these pressure waves and try putting them into the universal translator to see if it can actually work out if it's some sort of language?
Indeed. To do that, you'd need to set up a listening device, as it were, which you could probably use the anti-proton analysis matrix for, and listen, as it were, to the to what's going on, and then see if you can run it through a translation matrix. If you could successfully do that, then you could possibly communicate with them.
Okay, is anyone up for helping me try to get something like that hooked up?
Well, as it happens, you've got Edwards, who is not only an engineer, he's also a linguist, so...
Also, I'm good with experimental technology for creating some sort of translator.
Indeed, so...
Sounds good to me.
Seems to be right up his alley. So, to fine-tune the anti-proton analysis matrix, we're going to need a reason and science or a reason and engineering task at difficulty 1. So it comes down to whether or not Edwards thinks he can do this easily enough by himself.
You got this.
Fairly sure.
You do have 5 momentum in the pool. We all believe. Oh, good grief, does he? The streak continues. 3 successes. Definitely get a momentum point back for that then. Alright then. So, yes. You successfully tune the matrix to start listening in, as it were, to these pressure waves that are going back and forth. And, yeah. Now, in order to try and communicate back, you're going to have to manipulate the magnetic field of the containment bottle that the creatures are contained in within an antimatter pod in order to produce pressure waves of your own. This is going to be a somewhat more difficult process. This is going to be insight or reason and engineering at difficulty 3. So, might want to bring help in on this one, if you want.
Does it really need to be that hard? Because it's Newton's first law. Every action is an equal and opposite reaction. Once you've started it, they'll just move on their own.
Don't you bring science into this?
Well, no one was trying to communicate because.
Communication. Sorry, yeah.
But I mean, for a practical point of view, as well as the desire to explore and contact strange new life forms, if we can actually communicate them and they are intelligent, then it might be that they're willing to actually help us get them home. And if we have help on the inside, as it were, that means that it's going to be another way we can reduce the risk to both them and us as we go with Viber's plan to actually get them back into the nebula. Because like Matt said, a single particle touching our ship will cause disaster. But if these particles are actually consciously trying to help us do it, that risk potentially becomes less.
I will note at this point, as this discussion is going on, that Commander Lambert, the senior officer, the surviving senior officer of Starbase 1-4, enters into engineering at this juncture. I I came to in engineering, and apparently everybody's going to be okay, so I thank you for that, but I want to help. I want to help in any way I can. What's going on? Anyone want to bring me up to speed?
I was going to say, I'd like to use determination, seeing is believing. This is quite a unique situation.
Okay, alright, I'll go with
happens again, if for the third time we come across a creature that eats something with power, I think that that value's not going to work with it. Yeah, whoever wants to jump in as an assistant, and you remove 1 dice, don't you?
If you want to do determination, then yes, you remove 1 die, and remember to check the using determination box, because determination now replaces one of your dice with a pre-rolled 1.
So, who wants to help?
Yep, who wants to help? So this is both an engineering and a communication issue, so... Who did we get?
I mean, technically I've just done it myself, so it's whoever wants to add momentum to the pool, I suppose.
We're at max momentum, so... It's just if there's a potential for complication by someone helping. Which we should do. Someone was offering to help.
If anybody is helping, now would be the time. Otherwise, Edwards seems to be all good with this.
If there's no other... Anybody want to help, or...?
I mean, the Doctor will always love to jump in on some first contact with this esoteric life form.
I should probably, yes, or the captain could potentially help him with sort of like a diplomat by consequence, and kind of like, this is what we need to do. Hello, I am.
You get to do multiple sets of first contact.
Yay!
Now at this Now, at this point, as we have safely established that you have the means to communicate now, so you've set up a translation matrix, you've got a means of creating these pressure waves inside, which should, according to what you've just done, be aligned with the language they apparently are using. So, but Commander Lambert, for those of you at the back of the huddle, he seems overly interested in what's going on. As in the case of, so these are the creatures that made the station explode?
Commander,
please look
go
into this.
Go to bed, have a kip, come back next shift.
But I need to make sure that my people are that everyone's fine. We're all going to get out of this fine. We are going to get out of this fine, aren't we?
We will sort this all out. Go sleep yourself out. You're not helping here at the moment.
Commander, with all due respect, I still have a responsibility to the people under my watch, and I'm a commander too.
Commander, you're relieved of duty.
Sorry. That was not Edward's laughing.
Yeah.
I see.
Now, here's the question. Which commander goes, sure, I'm off the pub.
Half the group just leaves.
Get Claw, Bravo, Fibers, Bertram.
Is this Edwards there going, guys?
All commanders to the hot tub. Alright. Lambert kind of mutters something under his breath, and the empaths among you definitely get a very strong twinge of resentment as he eventually leaves.
Bye, Felicia.
So, yeah, Nova and Ori got a strong sense of kind of almost on the border of outrage there. Lambert felt like he really needs to be involved in what's going on. And there's also an undercurrent of what you could approximate to being survivor's guilt, almost.
You know, and he's an alcoholic on top of everything else.
Are we still talking about Lambert?
Alright's just standing there with a bottle of blood wine in his hand. Yeah, alcoholic. Andrews will request to Commander Bravo of Security that Commander Lambert is we're confined to the medical area, and that the ship's counsellor that we have never replaced comes and pays. Oh no, it's Nova, isn't it? Oh god.
I believe it's Bertram at this point, actually.
Yeah, this is why I got the psychologist as a focus, which goes well with my value of people and socialization, the eternal mystery. Just imagine sitting down later, goes, so I gather you feel guilty for your botch that ended up taking the life of the majority of the people under your command. How did that make you feel?
How do you feel about killing your entire crew?
Yeah.
As much as I would like to...
Right.
As much as I would like to play that out.
Of the council.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's
no,
move on.
You know what we need to do? Lieutenant Lieutenant the Tude, go and have a chat with Commander Lambert.
He'll definitely be leaving by airlock, probably voluntarily at that point, but never mind. Okay, so what have we got so far? The Cloudlings are creatures made of antimatter, and according to the communication you're now setting up between them, trying to get their side of things, according to the... So you've got pretty much, I keep using that, I'm sorry about that. Text readout is currently interpreting the pressure waves that the antimatter creatures are creating. For the purposes of syllables, I will be referring to these creatures as Cloudlings from here on in, because they are small balls of antimatter clouds. So, Cloudlings is easier than antimatter glass entities. So the Cloudlings appear to live their lives inside of the antimatter nebula, from what they are now informing you, and they swim through the thin streams of gas and derive their nourishment from it. You definitely get that they are sentient, but they're not tool using, which is interesting. Apparently, they're able to manipulate the antimatter clouds in which they live directly, which they use as both a form of communication and a form of sifting their nourishment out of the antimatter cloud. And it allows you to... is there anything specific you want to converse with them about?
Do we want to actually try and communicate with them and work with them to create a safe way, as safe as possible, to get them back to their home environment?
Ideally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okie dokie. Let me think. Something you can communicate. Alright, so they relay the following information via text, as it were. So they give you their perspective on what they've experienced. Some time ago, your best estimation would probably be maybe 6 months or so ago, because that was officially when Starbase 1-4 and the antimatter refueling station was set up. So anywhere within the last 6 months. The area of the nebula in which these Cloudling entities made their home in was torn apart. From their perspective, they felt themselves being herded and pushed into an area from which they couldn't escape. Hundreds of Cloudlings were pulled from the nebula in this fashion. Those of you who know anything about how antimatter is collected, so most anybody who has a reasonably high rating in engineering and has any kind of focus in warp field technology will know that this was probably the Federation's magnetic scoops in action. The Cloudlings then say that they were later subdivided again, and the ones you're specifically in communication with now indicate that they found themselves pulled into another smaller prison, which is likely the antimatter containment pod that they are currently in. There are, according to them, 3 families of Cloudlings in the storage units, all of them, including children. The Cloudlings, up until this point, weren't actually aware of the existence of any other species, matter or antimatter. According to them, they evolved and developed only in the one nebula, which means that only starships fueled from this refueling station have got sentient beings in their fuel tanks. Now, the Cloudlings are not able to restore full power to your ship whilst they're inside the antimatter storage. There simply isn't enough space for them there. But they say they might be able to help you restore power for short amounts of time to systems other than warp drive by moving themselves away from the intermix chambers. Now, this leaves you with a few thoughts based on previous rolls and tests that you have made up until this point, including communication with them. Like I've already stated, if too many of them are kept in containment for too long, them being there will contaminate the antimatter around them and therefore make it less viable as a fuel source for your ship. In the short term, this will stop your Mara system from working, and if too long, it could make regulation of the antimatter stream go boom. Just plain venting it into space, as you have already stated, is a massive mistake. In one sense, an antimatter pulse could be sent through the storage chambers, but this would have the effect of killing all the Cloudlings trapped in the bottle. But this would make the antimatter back into the smooth soup that it was always supposed to be, and that would return ship's power immediately and to normal levels, but at the cost of murdering the Cloudlings. You could try and direct an antimatter stream, but that means you would have to navigate the debris field of the starbase in order to get yourselves closer to the nebula. But you could also conceivably dock with the antimatter refueling station and try and reverse the pumping procedure, because the pumping station, the antimatter refueling station itself, has got the facility with which to also safely redirect, process antimatter. You just have to throw it into reverse.
We're just going to trap them on board a starbase that's slowly decaying.
Yes, but that containment vessel there already has things in it, so we already have to empty what's left, the creatures left in there, back into the nebula.
True.
Yeah. If the ones on the Navis are sent into there, and we reverse the pumping procedure to get them out, they can also let the ones that are still trapped in there know that they need to actually cooperate with this to get home.
And with them in there and not on the Navis, we have power, which means we can power anything we need to on the pumping station to reverse the system, and they're already aimed at the nebula.
Is that?
Well, also the problem is, I'm thinking is time at this point. This race that are turning up, they probably are not going to want to let us sit around. If they claim this area is theirs, they're going to be, one, annoyed that we've got this station here, and two, even though we leave them, is there anything on this that could be salvaged that we don't want them to get?
We haven't really got the opportunity to start salvaging the space station.
Oh no, not for us to salvage it, from them. Is there anything on the ship, on the station, that we don't want this new warp-bound race?
We won't have the time to start stripping the starbase for the necessary components if they're going to take it by force.
I wasn't thinking stripping.
You were thinking exploding?
Yes.
Gotcha.
But then that is the problem with the species, with this new life form in it as well. It's like
Prime Directive kicks in. Preservation of life. So
there's also the thing that it was Starfleet's intervention that caused them to be pulled into this prison. We have a responsibility, even I'd argue, even beyond the Prime Directive. We are essentially, through ignorance rather than desire, but we are essentially the aggressors to them.
I mean, if we can get them out before they turn up for anything, also we don't know how they're going to react to this. If they destroy it or something, that's still. I was thinking time is. I'm not sure how much time
we'd be open and honest with the opposite race and tell them exactly what's going on, and that if they want to kill themselves, fire on us, they're more than welcome to. Once this is resolved, we will retreat beyond the realms if they wishes to do so.
Interesting. According to the timer, you do have only 40 minutes left before the Khalakh arrive. It's probably going to take just as long, if not longer, to set all of this up. So it's going to be very, very close.
I'd like to take a engineering team with... Well, I'd like to take an away team with the runabout over to the antimatter containment station. With the idea being we'll start trying to get things reconfigured and set up using power from the runabout, because that can run the computers at least, so we can get as much set up and ready while we're getting the ship docked and doing the hump back onto the station.
Okay.
In the meantime, I also suggest trying to start communications with the Khalakh to see what their motives and intent is, because that will give us a chance to react accordingly.
Okay. So, I shall take us back to the bridge, where we no longer need the shuttlecraft. We've got everybody back on the ship, so folks can be posted back to their usual spots, at the very least in regards to the supporting characters. So Stevens can go back over here. So, you've got a number of things to do, but what's the main means that you want to try and use to get the Cloudlings safely back to their home? Do you want to try your antimatter stream in from the deflector shield, or do you want to try the reversing the antimatter fueling station?
I think the safest option is the fueling station.
Yeah.
Using a system that's already set up in reverse is easier than making something new.
Indeed. Okay. Okie dokies. Okay. In the meantime, Webby, you mentioned that try and determine what the Khalakh try and set up a communication with the Khalakh and see what they're going to do. By all means, you can send a message out to the Khalakh. What kind of thing did you want to put in it?
I think that we're open and honest with them and explain to them what the situation is here in this area, and that just inquiring about what their intent is.
You could always misinterpret their position here as, "Oh, thank you for coming to check up on us."
Yeah, do it that way, and play the role of just thank them for coming to our assistance in this location, explain what the situation is to them, and see how they react.
Okay. You do get a reply. The reply is 32 minutes.
32 minutes till they arrive and help us in the situation. That's nice to know. At which point we will then send them the information that we have on the entities and tell them that if they do get within range and fire upon us, they will kill themselves and us.
Do we want to reveal that they're entities, given their extreme xenophobia?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I would just explain that there is an issue relating to the antimatter storage.
It's why I think they were going to just blow up the station.
It's possible.
Well,
This area has had an antimatter containment leak. Please keep your distance.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Saying that we're doing this to protect you. Feel free to fire on us if you want, but we'll all go boom together.
And the only response you get from that is 30 minutes and 25 seconds. So this whole diplomacy with them, at least as far as Andrews is concerned, you made the observation earlier of Mama Bear. It's entirely possible that there still is aggressive posturing, especially now that. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, the saber rattling because the ship is currently compromised, and they're like, "Oh, we've done the first bit. We are the stronger target."
Yeah, and because also they have backup coming with them as well, it might also be a thing of, you know, looking good in front of your friends, almost. So,
Mr. Claude, Lenny, get in the Samson. And we'll
yourself
send them the
between them.
schematics for a Daedrax, and we'll say, this thing took one of them down. Bring it.
All right, yeah, if you want to try that more aggressive posture. So, yeah, you're unsure if the Khalakh are definitely set on being aggressive, or if it's just such a... If it's just their norm.
It's a natural reaction, is that they are, because they are so xenophobic.
They don't know how to react any other way, so yeah. But all they've been doing is giving you a countdown back, so it's, yeah, you could read into that they could have sent you no reply whatsoever, so there's potential here, but it's all about how well you do at getting things done here before they arrive. So this is gonna be quite a close job. So, right. First thing we need to do is to get this ship docked with the refueling station, which is going to be interesting because this is quite a big ship. So we are going to need a daring and engineering? Daring and con, I'm looking at the wrong bit, for helm, with a difficulty of 2, to get the ship in the right position. Now, we have activated Lenny before, so he is able to be controlled. But do we want to throw in some co-piloting to help him with the docking procedure, especially considering we've got a lot of debris in the way. But as has been pointed out, you do have deflector shields, but your power isn't awesome at the moment. So once again, the helm task of docking with the excuse me, itchy nose, the antimatter refueling station is going to be daring and con. So who wants to take it? Does Edwards want to take it? Does Andrews want to take it?
Maybe someone else.
Or do we want Lenny to take it and have somebody else assist? Or are we just going to put our faith in Lenny?
What's Lenny at? Con 5, daring 9. You know what, Mr. Lenny?
Move over. I have the con.
Daring and con.
Take us in, Mr. Andrews.
Yeah. Andrews is going to look down herself and just be like, I thought Trill were good at identifying sort of like species.
Well, apparently it's like a Navy thing, calling everybody at a post mister.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I wasn't sure if that was true or not. But yeah, if you wanna just rub it in, as it were. I thought Trill were good. We're not gender blind, but there we go. It would make sense if they were gender blind, as it happens. It would make sense to me. But there we go. Never mind. So, yeah, daring and con. Difficulty of 2. Does the cat think she can do it on her own, or does she want Lenny to assist?
We'll take Lenny assist. He can be sort of like reading the navigation, right? And I'm going to spend a momentum.
Cool. Is Sean back with us yet?
Yep.
Yay! Can we get you to be Lenny on helm, please?
Alright.
Thank you. This will be daring and con from Lenny.
Is it 1 dice?
1 dice, please. Yes. Well, we got ice packs in there if you need it. Ooh, look at that. 3 successes, and Lenny for 1 success. Navigated with extreme aplomb. If aplomb is indeed the word I should use there. Nice. So even though this is a beast of a ship, obviously even large cruisers like yours need to be able to dock at this refueling station, so it was more a case of dodging around the debris, which you have done with great skill. So managing to maneuver yourself to lock onto the dock for the refueling platform is done. Now we need somebody to connect the magnetic flow pipe, which means that somebody is going to have to go on a spacewalk and do this manually.
Sounds like Nova's going out again then. Wait a minute, Nova, why are you still wearing your EVA suit?
Never took it off.
Halfway out the door as well.
Can't talk, I've got a pipe to attach. Right, this is going to be a daring and engineering job, so definitely right up Nova's alley. Difficulty 3. So anybody who wants to assist with this kind of thing definitely can if they want to, but this is Nova we're talking about, so... Daring and engineering, difficulty 3. This is reconnecting a magnetic flow pipe, so I'm not sure... Inner workings would be close, but I'm not sure if anybody else has got any engineering-related foci that might help here, if you want to take help. I mean, anybody with maintenance or engineering to do with warp fields and stuff like that have probably got the requisite knowledge required for setting up a magnetic flow pipe. So, once again, is anybody joining Nova in this little escapade, or is it all Nova?
I'll do it.
You'll do it? Alrighty.
He's already still suited as well.
It's the keen pair. So, daring and engineering. So, Orai's daring isn't awesome. He's more by the book, apparently.
But could he use his instinctual ability for understanding things and, not use daring?
This is physically connecting a magnetic flow pipe whilst in an EVA suit.
Well, crap.
This is all about the daring, so Orai doesn't have to do it if he doesn't want to.
But this could be horrible.
This could be. Which sounds like a reason to do it in my mind, but that's just me.
Absolutely.
Alright then. Daring and engineering.
Kiss yourselves goodbye.
Well, the good thing is you got no complications, so, you know. But this means you still have got three successes to amass, so...
Right, Nova.
I'll add the extra dice then.
Alright then, no pressure, but all 3 dice have to be. Oops, Starcross, here we go. This is where all those medals come in very handy. And not just for flinging at things.
Well, that might come
They're also useful as pogs.
Oh, wow, look at that! Well, good grief. Once again. Well, if ever there was a mastery at connecting a magnetic flow pipe needed, I think we found the person to do it.
I think she's just having, like, or I throw it to her, like, kicking it in.
I was not expecting to see a camera footage of a trick shot with a antimatter flow pipe.
Right, so
But
we've already
now I
made...
have, and now I've made a note not to get Nova involved in refueling up ever again and to authorize more leave.
Alright then. So now we've got the pipe connected. Nice. Now we can get the magnetic bottles to merge, which will give the Cloudlings a clear path so that they can swim through the pipe and back into the fuel dump. So, let's see, what else have we got to do here? We need another daring and engineering task. This time at difficulty 1 to release the pipe. And this will hopefully get the creatures, or at least get the refueling station ready to take the creatures and just pump them straight back into space. And this is where you get a computer alert when Commander Claude notifies the captain and the command crew that 3 Khalakh cruisers have just come out of warp and are at the edge of the system. They will arrive within 5 minutes.
Okay, Mr. Lenny, Mr. Claude, to the Samson. Defensive positions.
Right, so let's see. The Musang system was where we were docked.
Okay,
So we've got the Samson.
We've got an engineering team heading over to the station to try and start getting the flowing going over. So who wants to be on that one?
Happy to go wherever you want me.
Competent engineers.
Okay.
I would also suggest probably taking having the doc and possibly even Ori as well as part of your team.
Alright, let's do it.
Yep.
Because then you've got 2 people watching that they're physically okay.
Righty, alrighty.
Okay.
So we don't need Nurse No Teeth anymore. We don't need the other shuttle, but I'll keep one out just in case. We don't need Nurse Bravo anymore, so I'll take him away.
And you've got our resident, the miracle worker, keeping you alive by not flying the ship around while they're on a cable, while doing evasive maneuvers.
Nova's just restoring power from the flipping EVA suit. Transfer a couple of points of power from the EVA suit. It's alright.
Yeah, but you're doing all this from outside the hull. That's the impressive bit.
That's your thesis that you've just posted, isn't it? Or I say just posted a while ago.
Dissertation, not thesis. I wish I'd have done a master's.
Okay.
PhD.
Now, as you're getting ready to begin the process, so the Navis is actually connected up to the refueling station, but that's the that's not the refueling station so much as is the starbase over there, so we don't need to worry too much about that. But positions are largely a matter of imagination rather than anything else. So the Navis is connected up to the refueling station. The refueling station has been connected up as it needs to be, and the whole process is ready. But as Lenny and Claude have taken the Samson out and are presenting basically a smaller roadblock, you got to get past us first, kind of thing. They report back saying that the Khalakh are warming up weapons and are have charged their shields. Lenny comes up with an idea. What if the Samson just distracts them, makes them chase them? Could buy the Navis and you guys enough time to do with the Cloudlings.
Playing cat and mouse. I like the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially that.
What was the old advice we used to pass on grow up?
Well,
Do a barrel roll.
Use bombs, rise me.
What did you say? What, Lenny, did you say the one flying the Samson?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's into role reversal then. He's a cat, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Cat and mouse. Yep. All reverse. Nice.
But he's not really the mouse. He's the cat pretending to be the mouse.
Ah. So it's it's cat and mouse and cat. Or something.
It's cat and Claude.
It's the cat and the Claude. Let's go with it that way. Alright. So I just want to gain an overall impression of how well Lenny is dancing rings around the Khalakh. So what I'm going to do is ask whoever wants to can roll as Lenny and can gain support from the Samson. So I'm looking at daring and con plus engines and con from the Samson. And I am meanwhile going to grab hold of the Khalakh themselves and see how well, if at all, they thank you, Navis, how well they keep up, if at all.
I just realised as well, Claude's also got never back down, and Claude's first line of defence.
Yeah, so all of Claude's values can definitely come into why he probably volunteered to go on the Samson for this mission. Absolutely. So, let's distract these guys. Anyone, nominate yourselves to be Lenny, otherwise I will just pick and choose. Then I will pick and choose. Randomly! That was a 6, so that's going to be Webby.
Go.
And who's going to be the Samson? That's going to be a Sean. So, daring and con from Webby, 2 dice. Engines and con from the Samson, if you please. Sean.
Oh god, that dice is horrendous. It's even worse than some of the others.
All successes. Now, by comparison, how well do these guys do? Well...
Close.
Not too bad. Close, but not so close that it's dangerous. Okay, so the Khalakh ships, what they lack in sophistication, at least as far as technology, their levels of technology go, their ships are still reasonably quick on the impulse and maneuverable. So they are able to at least keep up the chase of the Samson. But Lenny, of course, is a superior pilot and is able to keep enticing them along, just close enough to entice them along, but not so close that they can catch him. So that's cool. That gives you guys some time.
Somewhere several light years away, and Andorian's antenna twitch again. He's like, good.
Yeah, honey, there's not much I can do. If you think so. I don't know what we've got. Sorry, excuse me a second. I don't know, sorry. Okay. What else do we need now? We finally need to release the Kraken. No, we definitely don't need to release the Kraken. We need to release the Cloudlings.
Release the crackheads.
Harsh.
Now it's a 21 stream.
But we already put them in the Samson.
That's the adrenaline junkies.
Ah, that's not the same thing.
I mean, Claude probably has got a crack in his head somewhere, you know.
So,
He's very well maintained and polished.
I would
Just one
like
sheet of pure granite.
a final daring and engineering check, along with someone to give me. I want one control and engineering check to be the one responsible for monitoring and maintaining the magnetic fields. I want a daring and engineering check to be the one who basically pulls the lever and releases the cloudlings and helps channel them along the path out. But I also want a let's go with control and medicine check, so that somebody in that regard can monitor the creatures as they go to make sure that they exit safely. And because I have asked for 3 separate checks, this is what we essentially... It's not exactly a gated or extended task, but it is a sequence of tasks that need to be completed more or less in order. So the first one to do the control... Pardon me, the daring and engineering task comes first to get the life forms into the magnetic stream so that they... magnetic stream. Into their path out. To go. So, who wants it?
Virus is better suited for the control one.
Right. I think...
Edwards or Stevens, probably? Because we're talking...
Well, Nova's still technically there with you, isn't she?
Or Nova.
Nova.
Nova
So I'd probably
has
say
got the
Nova-
superior daring.
And Nova and Stevens for the daring side.
Okay.
Although, technically Edwards is 10 daring as well, but better at control than Stevens for com.
So could
So it's
possibly
3 groups,
assist
so
with
it's
the...
Nova,
yeah.
Nova and Stevens for the daring, Fibers and Edwards for the control, and then the Doc and Ori for the medical.
I like that. At an expenditure of momentum, the captain can, of course, also assist any of those by using command, essentially, to try and coordinate everybody. So, I am not going to tell you what the difficulty is for each. I'm going to let you guess. And I'm also, of course, looking out for anything like complications. In that regard, I am going to spend a threat to up the complication range of each of the 3 tasks, so that it triggers a complication on a 19 or 20. So, are we ready?
Contenders ready.
Would you allow warp field dynamics as a foci?
Absolutely. Alright then, so let's do it. Team Daring and Engineering can go first. Stevens rolls an 11. Nova's got 2 dice to roll.
Yeah.
With focus as usual.
I think because things are going so well, I'm going to use my determination for the score.
Alrighty.
Just in the preservation of life, really, and the memory of a thing gone on already.
In memory of what, sorry?
In memory of Cass, the thing gone on.
Ah.
We love you, Kev.
Yep. He'd love this.
Yes, I'm sure he would.
Kev, we're going to put you on an engineering task, and it's to save lives.
It's just... And Nova just sees Kev just standing next to her like, why am I here, Captain?
While on the other side of the system, a fierce battle is raging on that you're not part of.
This is exactly what Cass would be doing right now.
Look, this is just Kev's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Captain, there is a battle to be held. I need you here, Kev.
Yeah. Saving these small, innocent little children.
So essentially, it's up to Nova and Stevens to start tying up all the antimatter pods that contain the cloudlings to this ejection system, so that you're tying up the refueling process and just moving from pod to pod to pod to pod to pod. Keflings secured. Ah, they've been named. That's sweet. Keflings. I like that. That's got a nice ring to it. They start inheriting the traits of their namesake and so become a more warlike antimatter.
They all get
Always
jettisons out.
denied war.
Yeah, as they get jettisons out, they're just like kapla.
He's good yet to die. It's like charging ships.
Today is a good day to die. Boom.
So, yes, the Cloudlings are released into the system in order to start getting underway. That's great. That's groovy. That's awesome. Now we need Team Monitor to make sure that the magnetic fields are stable the entire way through, to make sure that nothing deviates. So, once again, I'm keeping the difficulty of this to myself. This is Vibers and Edwards who are giving me control and engineering checks.
I'd say assisting and Vibers leading.
Okay.
Both of you are without determination, so you've got a full momentum pool.
I imagine you've probably got more foci for that will actually work with this. And
I've got a foci, so have you, so let's roll them. Give you assist and I'll do the...
Oh,
I
nice.
said I have a foci.
Oh, hello.
I have the
Woo!
He suddenly hits the machine as it starts sputtering.
It just does, yeah. Ejection sequence failed. Bam! Confirmed.
Well, I
Now.
heard the words, today's a good day to die, and that did not give me a lot of confidence while checking my monitor.
Now, I will say that there is one more assist that could be given here if the captain wants to use her assist for this side of things, if you think that 2 successes is enough.
It's a bit low, so presence and command, isn't it? You want off of me?
Please. As you notice, fluctuations in the magnetic fields are part of the damaged assembly. Whoa! That's more like it. 3 successes? Yes. So, using the sensors off the Navis, Andrews does get a report that one of some of the magnetic fields in the refueling station are starting to fluctuate, which means that you let Vibers and Edwards know ahead of time, tell them to shore up that particular section of the path out, and they just about manage it before the life forms arrive at that specific point. Because if they'd have hit that, and the magnetic field failed, that could have been catastrophic. And so, we need the final team, Team Ori and Bertram, to see if they can keep the state of the creatures by guiding them through where they need to go.
Whilst this is going on,
Yes.
are we able to restart the warp core activation procedure?
That
Because in
is
theory,
a good point,
the
because
beings are
now...
no longer on board.
Indeed, they are no longer on board, and because you got the right tools for the right job, that has since gone. Warp power is indeed no longer offline. So you've got that back. Is the Mara disabled? Well, I suppose not then in that case. Alright as the fan dance.
I don't know it. Matt, I don't know if this will have any effect on the difficulty or the extra complication range.
Quick
But I
study.
thought I'd throw it in just in case, given that they're an unfamiliar species.
Ignore difficulty to the complication range stemming from your unfamiliarity. I will go with that. That's why you've got the talent.
Woo!
Nice. So standard complication range then.
Xenobiology is a focus.
Sure, that makes sense.
Okay. And
Or
I'll also throw
I-
in my Starcross.
Or I can actually use a combination of sensors and warp field dynamics here as foci.
Okay.
So he's not badly done by for focuses.
What are we rolling?
This is going to be control and medicine. You're trying to control the environment through which they are travelling in order to make it amenable to their life form. Ooh, it was an 11, it rolled back to a 9, which means we have 3. 3 successes, which is tremendous. Nicely done, the Navis crew. All the Cloudling life forms have safely been ejected from your system. So you still have some antimatter on board that you can now start injecting into the Mara to start up warp power again.
Commander Bravo, let's do a rapid restart, shall we?
Yes, sir, Captain, sir. So, whilst we're still here on the map with the ship and everything else, let's have Bravo do a quick restart. So rather than wait for the restart, let's do a... just shove it in there, crank it in. Once per scene when the ship has no reserve power. This is pretty much it. But that gives me threat, and there's no reason to do that. Procedural compliance.
I know that's a me one, but I have left so many manuals on the Navis.
Give him one automatic success if he removes a dice. I'll go with that, because that's still a bet.
A dice with a momentum.
That's still a bet. He has got Chief Engineer, as is rightly pointed out. Reduce the opportunity cost of engineering teams by 1 to a minimum of 0. So essentially, if you spend 1 momentum, he will gain the trait of engineering team, which will lower the difficulty to do a fast restart of the core by 1, reducing it down to a difficulty of 1.
He's also got determination as well. So.
He's also got determination as well if you really want to do it, and coordination is the key. Would be a good one because he's using the coordination of his engineering team that you've just bought with 1 momentum, if that's the way you want to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we don't need is any kind of roll whatsoever because we just need an expenditure. We just bought it because we're using his determination to replace 1 die to make it 1, and we're also using Vibers' procedural compliance to take away a dice and replace it with an automatic 1, or an automatic success. This gives 2 successes, which makes 3 successes. For a task that was difficulty 1, there is the sound of the matter-antimatter reaction assembly clunking very much into place, as the whole injection assembly is reinvigorated. There is the welcome thrum of power from the engines, and every console lights up. Shields zing back into full power. The entire bridge lights back up to life. Everything is now available once more. Shields are back at full. Weapons are active. Sensors, full engine maneuverability.
And the nice, comfortable hum in the deck plates.
Oh yes. Ordinarily, you wouldn't be. Most, as was stated by Captain Scott in that episode where he met the Next Generation crew, when he complained that he couldn't feel the thrum of the engines. You've got 2 cores on this ship, so you definitely can feel a vibration in the deck plating.
Good vibrations.
Good vibrations, absolutely. So the very welcome thrum of hum of power from the dual engine core starts up. Now you do still have a less than full anti-deuterium complement to your stores, so you're going to have to find some way of getting another refuel, because what you took from this refueling station obviously had less capacity to it than you thought because it had life forms in it, but thankfully now you've released those life forms. Lenny and Claude are still leading the Khalakh on a merry chase, but now the Navis is at full operational power again. What would you like to do?
Do we wait for the rest of the crew to come back on board, or do we just... I'd probably say wait. If Lenny and Claude look to be in any danger.
Let's have a look, shall we? Let's make Lenny do another contest versus the Khalakh. I will do the Khalakh. The Khalakh get 2 successes again. What do they get from their ships? Only 2. Okay, so Lenny is up against a difficulty of 2. He has to get more than 2. There is still momentum in the momentum pool.
Yeah, might as well spend some. So I want to roll for Lenny.
Yeah, let's have somebody else. Who's rolled? Everybody pretty much has rolled in some capacity. Mike, do you fancy rolling as Lenny?
Sure.
Excellent. Daring and con, if you please. Daring and con, or is he control and con?
He's
more control.
Daring at this point.
He could be more daring at this point. Okay, keep it at daring and con. Okay, he's definitely got the foci for it.
Spend a momentum as well, Mike. Might as well. We're at 5 momentum.
Where's he at?
He is up yonder.
Okay. I had no idea that was him.
There you go.
Daring con. Okay.
Daring and con, if you please, sir.
He has a foci?
Yes, he does. Feel free to grab a momentum point to roll 3 dice.
Right. I forgot.
Roll another dice. That's fine. Just re-roll dice and roll another one. So he got 3 successes overall, which is above what he needed to keep away from the Khalakh. So yes, Lenny is keeping them on his tail, but can lead them back towards the Navis with no problems whatsoever without being under fire. Well, kind of. The Khalakh haven't technically fired on him yet, but they're trying to get target locks. But the way he's bobbing and weaving around, they're having trouble with their target locks, so he's been leading them on a merry chase as a result. So, yes. What would you like to happen next? In regards to...
Do we want to get majority of the crew back on the Navis before we go after, before we do Mama Bear? Because they've been firing on our cub.
That's a good question. Do you want to wait to get everybody back on ship first, or do you want to...
I'd probably say yes, because we've got quite a few of our main bulk of people missing.
Okay. That's no problem. With that roll, with those many successes, Lenny's good at keeping them occupied for a little bit longer, so it certainly gives away teams time to get back to the ship.
Mr. Edwards, take us home.
Aye, Commander.
Okay. So, as one final thing then, can I get a presence and command check from Andrews as a final indication of aggressive negotiation, let's say? And just to give you what you might be up against. Okay, double 9s. Alrighty. So this is going to be... You're going to have to get more than 2.
Am I still rolling 3 die?
That's up to you.
Well, I've spent point momentum. I've also burnt my determination.
So, You would be rolling 3, but now you've replaced 1, so you're just rolling 2. But remember to tag that you are using determination as well.
Okay, yeah.
Nice, nice. 4 successes, well over and above, so those come back. So, yes. Was there anything particular that you wanted to say? We've established that you've successfully persuaded the Khalakh not to open fire, especially now that you've got all your systems activated at full power again.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well!
Yeah. In the spirit of good faith, 5 minutes to leave Federation territory, or we will chase you back to your home plane.
Planet.
Yeah, your home planet. Yeah.
Now, the one on the other side of the... what's it called again? Viewer, the view screen, is the same woman you met before, the lady who identified herself as Captain Rosketh. She does say that the system that you are currently in is one that the Khalakh have been looking to expand into and therefore claim. But if this is now claimed as Federation space, and you are willing to defend it, then the Khalakh will be willing to withdraw their claim to this system.
I will counter-offer to say that the Federation would be willing to negotiate if they so wish to claim this territory for their own.
Captain Rosketh looks thoughtful. And then, let me just put the voice changer on.
May I ask, Captain, would you be the one negotiating on the Federation's behalf?
At the rate it's going, probably.
And I look forward to further communications with you. Long live the Khalakh Hegemony.
And she signs off.
Yeah. When she does that, does she kind of like bat her chest, etc., or something similar? You know, like the Klingons do for Khalakh?
Yeah, like a warrior's salute kind of.
Yeah,
gesture.
Andrews will return the favour of that.
Cool. So you definitely get the impression that you've made an impression on the Khalakh. And yeah, you've treated them as they've treated you, and there seems to have been a mutual respect kind of founded there. Kind of definitely founded there. So, in review of the situation as a whole, obviously the problem here was that you are now on a war footing with the Dominion, and every resource is now precious. So establishing an antimatter refueling station here it was an important step, and was probably greenlit as a result of the war hadn't started at that point, but tensions were rising to a point by that point that the Federation probably see it coming, and so Starfleet more than likely okayed the creation of that refueling station because they knew that it would likely be needed. Now, the situation you're left with here is that this nebula is the location of is the domicile of an intelligent species, and therefore is now off limits technically. And of course, anybody who did refill their antimatter fuel, their antimatter pods from this specific refueling station, probably needs alerting that they should not use the antimatter, and to look out for creatures, these living creatures inside of their antimatter pods. Given the short amount of time between this station's setup and use, The number is probably, thankfully, quite low. But nonetheless, intelligent creatures have been unwittingly captured and maybe even burned alive as a fuel source. So, at the very least, if one, to prevent unwitting murder of an intelligent species, at two, the kind of catastrophic failure of the matter-antimatter reaction assembly that nearly happened here could happen to another ship if the news isn't spread pretty fast. Nevertheless, a potential fuel source for antimatter is denied to yourselves. So, unfortunately, it looks like that the Federation is going to have to get their antimatter from the new antimatter from a different source. But you never know.
We can use dark matter. We don't need antimatter.
Well, there's that. You have that going for you, at least. But also, at the very least, you do now have a tenuous... I say tenuous. You have the start of a relationship, potentially, with the Khalakh. So, you may be able to leverage some kind of supplies via the Khalakh in some other fashion. So, who knows? So with all that done, is there anything else anybody else would like to do? Now that it's time for the Navis to essentially withdraw. Or have I covered all the bases?
The Bertram will basically collated the data that we got from the Cloudlings and the brief study on them, including the means of communication in case, and they'll sort of send that to Starfleet in case Starfleet consider making a diplomatic sort of outreachings to them, as they are now a known intelligent species.
Yes, indeed. So, essentially, this area, rather than becoming a refueling station, becomes a point of scientific study. If not also a diplomatic station. Okay. Anything else in regards to the Navis crew specifically that anyone would like to posit they do as a result of this?
I'm just going to bang a head against the wall, going, not another diplomatic mission, not another diplomatic mission, not another diplomatic mission.
I'm going to write my commendation report up to Starfleet that saying how well our captain's done on another diplomatic mission, how well they're working with it, and they're obviously a perfectly suited diplomat.
You see the vein throbbing in her eye.
Fibers gets a reprimand for the end of this really mission. What did he do? Upset the captain.
Okay. Alright then. So obviously the Navis needs to move away from this area so that she can have her antimatter storage pods refueled properly, because this ship does go through fuel fast. This is
I think
a gas
it'd be worthwhile as well seeing what the commander of the starbase actually knew.
What he knew. Okay.
Yeah, because if they knew what was going on and didn't report it, then he's liable, which is why he has survivor's guilt.
Okay. Okay. Alright then. Let me find that then. Commander Lambert. Let's see.
Matt.
Yeah.
I had to go. My back is spasming really bad.
Okay, no problem, mate. Well, we are pretty much done, so it's just me wrapping up a few things. So if you want to take off because of your back, then by all means do so. That's no problem whatsoever.
Have a good Christmas.
Yes, that's a good point, actually, Mike. No game next week because it's Christmas Eve. No game the week after because it's New Year's Eve. I'm not going to ask that of anybody. So the next likely time we will meet will be the 7th of January.
Well, I would like to say on the 7th of January, I will be on a cruise in Mexico.
Oh, fancy. Would you rather us postpone to the 14th?
I will be back then. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we will do Star Trek Navis again on the 14th of January.
You can play without me.
Well, that's...
Nah, we'll wait for you.
Okay.
Nah.
You're a science officer.
Oh, gosh.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you.
No problem. I will just wrap up here then with what you learn. Okay, so... where is he? Where is he? Where is he? That's Captain Roscath. Where is the stuff with Commander? Right. So, Robert Lambert was second in command on Starbase 14. Commodore Chen, apparently, was the commanding officer of the Starbase. Chen was killed when the Mara exploded. Lambert...
Yep,
go on.
Commanding officer.
Lambert explains that he was meeting with his fellow officers, the ones that were also encountered in the command section, when the red alert sounded as the matter-antimatter reactor was overloading. Lambert then contacted Commodore Chen for orders, but Chen dithered and wouldn't order the Mara to be jettisoned even as it started to overload. It was at the last moment that Lambert overrode the Commodore and ordered engineering to jettison the assembly, but by that time it wasn't far enough away that the explosion didn't reach the starbase. Lambert holds himself responsible for not taking action sooner, even if it meant breaking chain of command.
In which case, he's actually due a commendation, not a reprimand.
Mm-hmm.
He's the reason anybody got out alive.
Nice. And as a final little thing, if anybody like Bertram elects to keep up with what happened to the Cloudlings,
yep,
it turns out that although they have no tools, they are able to manipulate the antimatter clouds in order to communicate. They share memories and knowledge by coalescing their clouds into one, and then splitting back into individual entities at a later time. The children, the smaller cloudlings, are not able to perform that coalescence, but it's something that the adults share. And apparently the cloudlings are natural philosophers. With no way to create tools, they spend their time in reflection. Cloudling art involves manipulating the shapes and colours of the antimatter clouds that surround and permeate them. They have no fear of death. The stuff of which they are made will simply become part of the nebula that they know and live in. But now, of course, they've learnt that there are actually individuals other than themselves out in the galaxy. So, how their culture will change as a result of making contact with beings other than themselves remains to be seen. But that was what you got from the information that comes back at a later point about these entities. So, yeah. Well done, overall. You managed to successfully secure the release of these sentient creatures. And, yeah. There's now communication to be made with it. The Khalakh. Yeah, the situation with the Khalakh could have gone poorly for probably the Khalakh in a ship-on-ship conflict with full power. But overall, the diplomatic relations with the Khalakh could have potentially suffered. So you treated them very smartly, I think. So as a result, the Khalakh could be open to negotiation in the future. As far as getting them involved in any way, shape or form with the ongoing Dominion War, it's probably best if they stay out of it. because their technology really isn't up to scratch yet. But who knows in the future?
Modder. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
You did say the quiet bit out loud, yes. So, unless there's anything else anybody else would like to add that maybe their characters do or look into after this mission is done?
Yeah, Andrews will submit the letter of commendation to Commander Lambert, or for Commander Lambert.
Nice. All right. That will be met with, at first, confusion, because he seemed to gain the impression that you were very much against him and thought he was to blame for something. But then when the actual reason for commendation comes through, he does send an implicit note of thanks in your direction. Because obviously he's taken away with the rest of the survivors to be basically given medical leave for a while so that they can then be reposted afterwards. And I've already stated what happens to the Cloudlings and their nebula. So, that brings this episode to a close. Well done, guys. Nicely managed. We've already said goodbye to Mike temporarily because he's had to leave. But yes, it's Christmas soon, so I won't ask people to do stuff on Christmas. So we will take a break until the 14th. So we'll be back in 4 weeks' time, which gives everybody a chance to enjoy their holiday and have a chance to come back to do more shenanigans in the new year. So in the meantime, me and my tuft of hair will wish you to do like the Vulcans do, which is live long and prosper, and also, don't be afraid to stand up for the little guys and help them out. But sometimes the big posturing people need to be treated in the appropriate ways as well, with care and attention. But also to not only live long and prosper, but to engage in infinite diversity in infinite combinations. We will see you all on the other side of the new year, and we hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in the meantime. So yeah, season's greetings from everyone here at the Navis, and we'll see you when we see you next. Hailing frequencies are now closed.